So in terms of the training, I would say I am midly satisfied, so it's not ideal, but it's also not too bad. Like in terms of freestyle, it's not where it was at the beginning. Like I have lost the enthusiasm as well as the energy which I had when I first came back to freestyle after the injury. But now that I have been doing it a bit more consistently, I have somewhat lost that initial feeling which I had at the beginning. So I am not going into freestyle with such strong energy which I used to. So that's one thing. I tried a few attempts of shrimp flip 360, and as you saw, it was gradually improving after each attempt, and eventually I almost had it, but I didn't manage to. However, the next training might be the one when I will actually manage to do it. But at the same time, I am thinking of taking a short break from freestyle so that I would regain the enthusiasm which I had. Or maybe I will just try to change my point of view or outlook on freestyle in general so that I would get the enthusiasm back. And I also tried planche, but my wrist started to hurt, so I didn't want to risk anything. I also tried handstand, but I didn't have proper balance, and so the push-ups weren't ideal. I also tried front lever, but as you saw, I completely lost it, even though just 3 weeks ago I was able to have proper holds, like actual holds. But that's fine, I will get it back eventually. And now I want to go into the lesson which I prepared or which I thought would be kind of interesting for you to hear. And so whenever you have a goal, there are 2 ways how you can actually go and try to achieve that goal, or 2 roads which you can take in order to get to that goal. And one of those goals is to just grind hard as possible without your feelings and emotions interfering. So you basically kind of push away your own emotions, and you also just do what's needed for you to accomplish that goal. And so enthusiasm and stuff like that is not there, it's out of the window. Only the thing that you actually include is your discipline. Whereas the second way how you can approach or try to get to that goal is to go with enthusiasm. And the difference between those 2 is actually maybe not even that broad as you might have thought or you might think. And it's also something that I never realized, that when you go and try to achieve a certain goal without your emotions, because you just want to be disciplined and get it done as fast as possible, it might actually backfire. For me, this channel that you are actually watching this video on was a project which I started to take seriously around 2 years ago, and I didn't manage anything since then. 2 years of constant and relentless grinding, and I wasn't able to achieve anything. I didn't even manage to monetize this channel. And the approach which I took was the first one, so I tried to be just disciplined overall and just try to achieve it like that. Whereas now, with the videos which I'm recording right now, it's the second option. So the option where you actually prioritize having fun and trying to enjoy the process as much as possible. Because most of the time you actually hear that the goal isn't the thing which you should pursue, or it shouldn't be the ultimate reward. The reward should be the process, and you should enjoy the process and stuff like that. But no one really actually mentions what it means, because in general I thought that you will eventually enjoy the process, or you just have to change your outlook on the process, and I never really thought of doing or taking a completely different approach. And that's what I have done now, and I can definitely say that it's completely different. Maybe the second way how to approach or try to achieve your goals is a bit difficult, more difficult, and for the reason that it's not a guaranteed way, because usually the first approach is based off of something that, is based off something that somebody has already done, and so it was already tried and it turned out to work, and that's the approach which you are taking. Whereas the second one is completely individual to you as a human being, as an individual, and so it hasn't been done yet. And these videos that I'm recording right now, you could say that they are the same as every video which you see of calisthenics athletes making vlogs, but it's actually not. From my point of view, I haven't really seen a calisthenics video where they speak like this with the intention of also giving you a lesson. And because most of the time they just explain how their training goes and that's it, and they also don't want to give you proper advice because they want to sell you a product where that advice is, and so they don't want to mention anything that could help you in your progress. Although it's true that some of them actually like give proper advice, but I'm talking in general, and also just the overall way how I'm making this video. I don't think I have seen anyone make videos like this. Of course there are similarities, but like I mentioned, it's not the same. And this is the style which is unique to me, and the experience which I got of this is that my enthusiasm to actually record this video is 10 times higher. Like when I was doing the edits of calisthenics athletes, at the beginning it was enjoyable because it was the beginning, so of course it was enjoyable. But after like a year passed, I didn't see any results, and so I didn't get the cookie, the first cookie which would kind of like boost me to continue. And in that way I kind of like started to lose the enjoyment altogether, and you can actually see it in the edits, like they were slowly losing the like soul which it had, and they were just getting worse in quality in general because I was forcing myself to make those edits. Whereas now I just take the camera and record my training, and it's actually pretty fun. I can also see my own improvement as the videos go on, and it's completely different to the edits which I was making before. And so the advice which I want to give you is maybe sometimes just choose the second option. If you have a goal which you want to pursue, in calisthenics for example, you want to compete and stuff like that, maybe it will be a bit more difficult to get the level which you want to achieve, to be able to compete with the second approach. But at the same time, like when I had the first approach to my calisthenics journey, I did manage to get a third place on a competition, but like also if you manage to do a certain exercise or a skill, for example full planche, full front lever and stuff like that, like it's fleeting, it's superficial. After like 2 weeks you will get used to it and you won't feel good at all. You will crave another skill that you would want to accomplish or pursue. And so in this case sometimes, and it's something that I am starting to realize right now, and what the meaning of the sentence enjoy the journey actually means, enjoy the process. And that's basically what I'm doing right now, like recording these videos as well as just having fun throughout my training. Not doing that type of training where you are religiously like following a certain regime, a routine, a training program just to accomplish a skill. Like maybe, and there is a high chance you will accomplish it much faster, but since the actual accomplishment of that goal is fleeting and it will go away after 2 weeks, then what was the actual point? Like your ego saying that you want to prove everyone else that you are much better, or just to show off and be the cool guy that can do full planche. Like, is that really what you want? Like right now, the process to the full planche, the process to front lever, although I already had managed to do those skills, but I had an injury with my back, and so I had to get those skills back, and I am in the process of getting them back. But I am actually enjoying the process much more, because I am focusing on the process, which is just do the training which make you feel the most alive, as well as the trainings which you enjoy the most. You will still get those skills eventually, but it might just take a longer while. But at the same time, don't you want to actually enjoy the process instead of just putting your head down and not having fun at all throughout the journey, and then realizing that even though you achieved that skill, you aren't satisfied and you want to continue for another skill, and eventually 10 years later you will realize that even though you are a masterful athlete in calisthenics, you can do multis, you can do crazy freestyle and stuff like that, you actually wasted those 10 years and you won't be able to get those 10 years back. And so, just to summarize, if you are not enjoying the process of you achieving a certain goal or trying to achieve a certain goal, then maybe you should think about trying the second approach and just enjoy the process in the way that you will do it like you actually like it. And just to give you a few examples so that you actually know what I am talking about, you can have two runners. One of them is using the first approach, whereas the second one is using the other one. And so the first one is going to the gym as a regime, a routine. He goes on a treadmill and he starts running for 2 hours. He also watches a podcast or watches a video on his phone as he's running, or he's just listening to music, and he's completely mindless and he isn't paying attention to what he's actually doing. Because that's what happens when you get into an environment where you don't actually have to focus, because you can't really make a mistake. In that example, like, you can't really make a mistake on a treadmill. And that's what he will do for 10 years or maybe 3 years, it doesn't matter. Like, the amount of time doesn't matter right now. Maybe eventually he will be able to run long distances without getting tired. But was it worth it? Like, spending 3 years, 7 or maybe 5 hours a week for 2 hours throughout those days running on a treadmill, was it worth it? Without even being present throughout that running time? Whereas when you look at the second guy who always goes to run outside, of course he won't be so efficient, because like, you don't have consistent either like a flat line, a flat environment. You also get a few hills which are not in a proper shape, and so you won't be able to get or reach a proper consistency in terms of how much effort you have to put in on each run. But at the same time, he always chooses a different hill which he wants to conquer. He also runs in the forest, so he goes through different trees, he jumps over puddles, he also jumps over branches that are on the ground, maybe even jumps over a few fallen trees. And just getting those experiences, like the amount of experiences which you can get through just running outside on every single day or every second day, it's tremendous. You might meet crazy amount of people. Some of them might even change your life, like the meetings with them. You can also get experience from actually running in the nature, because what experience will you get running mindlessly on a treadmill? And I will finish off. I think I have described it in a pretty decent manner. And so either choose the first option or the second option, but right now I am trying to go for the second one. And I hope that this video was valuable or maybe even interesting in some way. And if you are interested and you want to watch something else, you can watch this video next. And if you are interested in my one and only product which I have, you can check the first link in the description.